This is intended for a mature audience only. Bitches.
Welcome, my fellow deviants, to Raw and Uncut. I'm Randy, and I am joined by
Meg.
Izzy.
And for those of you just joining us, this is a podcast of three friends pushing the boundaries of social norms. So I'm bringing them to you. This episode, we're going to be using the safe word paddle. So you know what to do if you hear that word.
It made me perk up.
It's going to get your ass. For our listeners out there and our fellow deviants who's tuned in before, I'll just let you know ahead of time, Izzy is at the bottom of his second smash.
Oh, yeah.
So
It means nothing. I'm sober.
yeah, okay. It does not take much. So for today's episode, we're going to be discussing actually the roles within a relationship. So we've already done an episode about relationships and the types of relationships. But specifically today, we're going to be discussing the roles of masculinity within a relationship and how for a long time the social norms of masculinity in many cultures have been restrictive, forcing genders to adhere to a specific set of stereotypes, such as like only men should do this, only women should do that, and specific, so that goes even further into the LGBT community when it comes to gay men with tops and bottoms. But with that LGBT movement and the women's empower movements, the ideas of masculinity are being challenged and even causing division among society. Do you agree?
Absolutely.
So these movements are bringing about a new definition to the roles for genders. There's studies out there that are showing that females are just as capable of performing some tasks, or I should say the same tasks as males, and are no longer required to stay at home and take care of the children. So those days of barefoot in the kitchen, pregnant, are over for women. So unless that's what you want to do.
Right.
But don't let nobody force you into that role. Males, at the same time, males are no longer assert their homosexuality dominance, allowing them to be more compassionate and emotional with their female counterparts. So, in the LGBT movement, straight males are becoming more accustomed to gay males' presence, allowing them to form an intimate relationship with other males. And when I say that, I'm not talking about like an intimate sexual relationship. You've got a lot of straight males out there now who have an intimate friendship relationship with gay males, and it's not an issue for them. It's not
straight guys with gay people.
Correct.
Yeah, I've had a friendship like that.
And so I've got several friends like that who are straight, and we are very close. We tell each other a lot of things. They'll come to me about issues with his female counterparts, and I'll go to him with issues about my male counterparts. And, we have that relationship now. Would we have sex? No, that's never going to happen, but we do have that understanding and that close relationship to where we can open up to each other. So, but even within relationships, the roles of masculinity are not specific to one another, is what we're trying to get at here. And so with that, where do you seem to fall in a relationship when it comes to masculinity? Do you prefer to, well, first off, let's start off with,
how do you identify yourself?
How do you identify yourself? Like, and then two, where do you fall? Like, do you believe that it should still be the social norm, or is there another, basis that you're pushing forward with?
Wait, what do you mean?
So, well, let's just break it down easy, because again, he's on his second smash. So where do you actually fall when it comes to, how do you see yourself when it ranks up to that masculinity in a relationship?
Okay. I think I'm pretty damn masculine. No, I'm not. I think I fluctuate between the two. I can't. Friends have come up to me like when they first got to know me and things like that. They couldn't discern whether I was like, gay because I liked masculine things. So like camping and things like that, they were like, there's no way gay people like that. I'm like, no, there's gay people that do like that. But then my mannerisms and things like that, left a question mark. So they're like, is he gay? And they consider that more feminine qualities because the way I was talking or the way I was just being goofy and things like that. So I think people looking outside, looking in, it's kind of like the in between of like, he's teetering with the femininity, which I embrace. I think everyone should embrace the feminine sides, but also masculine qualities. That's where I fall. Sweet. In between.
What about you?
Yeah, so that one's kind of difficult. I've been a solo parent for so long. I've had to fill both roles. And so I think if I had to choose the way I would want to be, I tend to be more traditionalist. I would have to say that I would not mind tending home.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of my hobbies are more of a feminine nature. I love to garden. I love to bake. I'm not that great of a cook, but I still like to do it. But if I had a partner, and when I look at this roles in relationships, and I look specifically at a relationship, I would want to be mainly the way I am, the feminine role, but I wouldn't want to be put in that corner either. If I've got to go fix a sink, I'm going to go fix a sink, whether you're here or not. Does that make me a little more masculine?
That's where the stereotypes and
That's
stuff
where it
like
comes
that.
in. Yeah. I mean, typically, when you look historically, that's not a woman's job, right? It's not to handyman, not to fix, not to. So I think for me, if I could have started anyway and been, I would have been okay with not getting my hands dirty like that.
So you're willing to step into that role, but you would rather somebody else be the.
It sounds like embracing the feminine role. Like she enjoyed, of course, but also being able to have the flexibility. If I want to do this, you shouldn't be able to stop me.
Right.
You don't want to be stifled into that role.
Stifled.
Right.
I can see that. So, in regards to me, when it comes to masculinity, I given that I am a hairy guy,
Woof. You may continue.
It's I'd have to say that I tend to fall into that masculine role when it comes to relationships. My partners tend to be more on the feminine side, and so I do fall into that masculine, that daddy role, as you would like to say. However, that being said, I also enjoy being cuddled and doing the stuff that tends to be more of a femme quality. I enjoy being that little spoon. I enjoy somebody actually taking the time to make me feel special, and not having to be the one that makes you feel special every time. And so that's just kind of where I fall into that,
So how would you, well, I'm thinking, what is masculinity to you? Like, what makes a masculine person?
Well,
what makes a
I think it's a
feminine?
number of factors. It's not just looks or anything like that. It's how you act. You can be. I've seen guys that are bigger and hairier guys like me, or muscle guys, or something like that, that are not willing to go out and get their hands dirty.
Well,
So does that really take them out of the masculine role?
no. To me, I tend to steer masculinity more with physicality. Like, men have a tendency to grow a beard. That's a masculine thing because it's more for men.
You have a beard right now, and we all know you're not masculine.
This is a masculine feature. This is masculinity.
It's you trying to assert your masculinity.
I am a man. A masculine man. So like stuff like that, qualities like that, I'm like that. Those are masculine features. What versus feminine features that it's like, okay, that's
Well, and
femininity.
I don't disagree with that. I think that the physical characteristics play a role in it, but I don't think that that's it. I think that there's more to it than just a physical
Your
characteristics.
actions, though, it gets murky.
You know, because like, for example, if I have somebody who is, say, you know, skinny, and they take care of themselves, they're well groomed and stuff like that, and that you would look at and think they're femme, but they're out there hunting, fishing, baling hay, you know, doing all those kind of stuff. To me, I think that does make you part more on the masculine side than femme.
I don't feel like they're masculine. That's like saying because you watch football, you're more masculine.
No, I didn't
think so.
say what you watch. I said
It's
what
like
you
your
do.
actions. Yeah, what you do makes you like these are masculine qualities, and I don't see them.
You know,
Because
just
I
like
see a woman doing that, and I'm like,
but I mean, just the other side of that too is like if you've got somebody who is masculine that likes to bake, that doesn't make them femme.
if he has a beard, if he has a beard while baking, I'm like, that's a masculine baker right there.
You're stupid. A masculine baker.
Yeah, I'm like, damn, bake me a pie, or give me a pie.
Whatever.
But yeah, you were saying.
So I just don't. For me, I just don't feel like that. I mean, it's kind of like what Meg was saying. Like she would prefer to be in that role of, you know, the femininity role, but have the option to step out of it if she needs to or wants to. That doesn't change who she is, you know. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just looking at it wrong.
No, I don't know. I kind of take both sides. I mean, when I think of someone who is, when I'm looking for a partner, let's just go that way, and they have, and my want is for them to be masculine. I'm thinking about protective. I'm thinking about strength. So it could be physicality, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. They could be absolutely a beanpole,
Right?
But still have. You're pretty close to a beanpole.
Pretty damn close.
You're pretty close.
Imagine a muscular, buff, big dude, guys.
Everybody has seen your picture on
Not everybody,
the website.
but now they're gonna Google.
Yes.
Everybody that listens to this show has listened,
Guys,
looked at our website and Facebook
I'm
page.
fucking ripped, meaty.
Whatever.
Okay.
6'10".
So I think it's kind of both. I think it really also depends on what you're looking for as a partner, because if you are more femme, it's a yin and yang of situations. It goes femme and masculine. Whether they can swap those roles or not, you're always looking for your part opposite. It's the way we fit together.
I think that's true. And, you know, I think that the role of masculinity has become such a, sought after characteristic when it comes to relationships that oftentimes it's being overlooked to a point, or not really overlooked. That's not the good word I'm looking for. Like, it's being plagiarized, essentially. You've got, especially in the gay community, the role of masculinity is a sexual premium in the gay community. Like, people love the masculine look of a guy.
What are you talking about?
So this is my perspective. If you don't look a certain way in the gay community, there's a lot of people out there that will push you aside.
Because you don't look. Well, yeah, with every group, I think, and depending on what you're looking for specifically.
Exactly.
You'll be pushed away.
And so there seems to be this issue, or I guess, or whatever you want to call it, in the gay community where masculinity is a premium, but whereas like feminine guys are seen more and less desirable.
Interesting.
It's just how I've kind of seen things.
I see it the other way, though, where feminine guys are sought after. Like, I've seen a lot of, wanting that kind of submissive guy, while the dom guy is like, I have more control. They like that. They and
I
they're
mean,
looking for
yeah,
more.
you can say that, but what I'm saying is like that.
I'm just talking from my perspective, what I've seen.
What I'm saying is like, you know, when it comes to like putting them side by side, it seems to be like people just tend to overlook the feminine qualities in somebody and look more toward the masculine qualities.
I could see that.
You know,
Yeah.
so, and that's just in the gay world. You know, because like in the gay world, now we're talking about masculinity and femininity, right? In the gay world, I think that, like I'm saying, like that huge emphasis on the role of masculine is you always constantly see people advertising themselves as straight acting or masculine.
You're right about that.
I know. And so why is there such a big push in the gay world to advertise yourself as such? Do you understand what I'm saying?
That's a hard. Yeah.
And so I personally think that advertisement comes from the fact that there is still this stigma on the gay culture in which men tend to have to feel like they have to advertise in that manner so that way they don't seem different or out of the norm.
Yeah. And I think the issue is that we're all, at some point, you're going to do something feminine, like that is perceived as feminine, and vice versa. You're going to end up doing something masculine. So, like, they don't want anything to tarnish that, like, masculinity, because they want to.
Right. And I'll even go further, even back, like, you know, in the early stages of coming out in the gay culture, you know, there is that desire to not want to be seen as a disappointment. And so you do things to, even though I'm gay, I still do things or act a certain way so that way I'm not disappointing the people around me.
Yeah, I mean, now we're diving into how you were raised, because if you were raised in a like toxic household where you got to be this certain way, guys do this, I can see that where like I have to be this way in order to be a man.
Well, I don't know that's necessarily a toxic household because I was not raised in a toxic household.
So you have some toxic masculinity?
No, I didn't say toxic masculinity. I said I was not raised in a toxic household, but I still, when I was coming out or even before I came out, did things to make myself not seem different.
Oh, you were just trying to fit in. That's it.
And again, I think that's why gay men in specific.
But in the gay world, to advertise, oh, by the way, I'm masculine, to try and fit in.
Well, I think that in their mind, they're not trying to be different from the quote unquote male persona.
Yeah, the male group. Okay. Okay, now it's starting to like.
That's just my opinion. You know, you can have your own opinions, and if the listeners out there have theirs, we'd love to hear it. But that's just kind of my opinion on why gay men still advertise themselves as straight acting or masculine.
But you also said it's highly sought after too. Like if most of the guys you find are more feminine than, and you're trying to find someone more masculine, why not advertise it? Be like, hey, I'm a masculine guy.
You know, that's true. So
I like sports or whatever, you know, masculine things. I don't want to, not the stereotypical gay, essentially. Maybe they're trying to pull away from that image as well.
Not the Izzy.
Yeah. Wait, what?
You said the stereotypical gay.
I'm not stereotypical gay.
Geez, he got all defensive quick.
Yeah. Damn right.
Somebody take the knife away from him.
True.
So,
I use poison.
So, you know, we've been talking about the gay relationships and gay cultures. We're going to switch over and talk a little bit about the heterosexual relationships. And do you believe that the traditional roles of male and females is still predominant, or is it changing?
Yeah, so I still believe that it is still predominant. I still believe that men are raised to not cry, to be the breadwinner, to be.
Well, I agree with that. I mean, men from the moment that they come out of the womb, they're taught not to cry and don't ask for help.
Yep. And the woman has her role. She should, you need to go and bust your ass every day at work so she can be at home taking care of the kids in the house and the food. And that's the way it's supposed to be.
Maybe I will enjoy this polyamorous relationship.
No. So even, when I was starting through the dating thing, most people would have, traditionalists, in their profile. And that's basically, they're telling you that, I believe in the roles that have been assigned to me since norms were norms. I'm supposed to
But
be.
why are norms the norms? Like, that's the question. Like, why?
When did it start to be like that?
I mean, I get it. It's been decades, eons, centuries ago, but
yeah,
survival, even like that's all mixed in there.
I guess I just don't agree with the norms. I have myself have been on the front lines in combat with females that do things a hell of a lot better than the men I've worked with. So I don't agree with the social norms that females can't do what men do.
And I don't necessarily think it's a issue of can't anymore. I do believe that there are some blending of the roles when it comes to the traditionalist. Women will take part-time jobs. Women will run businesses out of their home while they are taking care of their children. They'll sell wares, they'll sell crafts, especially with the online presence nowadays, women working from home and still being stay-at-home parents have more ability to be able to jump over and provide at least something else for their family because of shops like Etsy and eBay and or run groups that help homeschools. They open up homeschools, things like this. It's still there. I do see blending traditionally when it comes to more of a heterosexual bonding, mating, coupling, whatever.
I think that also too, you have to factor into the point of like their environment,
yes,
and their culture as well. Will factor into a lot of, do you have that blending, or is it strictly the masculine, feminine? Yes,
Ooh, you can pull it out of you.
Feminine role.
Yes.
So, femininity.
Absolutely. Some cultures are still very strict on that. And I mean, that's, whether that has just a cultural background or whether that has also religion, you got to take into account there are religion factors in that. And there's nothing wrong with those individuals who feel like that's the way that they were raised, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong
like if
with
you
it.
Enjoy it, go for it.
If that's what you want, that's what you get,
Just don't feel like it's your only restriction. It's your only option. It's not your only option.
It's not. It's exactly right. It's not your only option. There's other options out there, And then the other side of that coin too is just because you are, I don't want to say stuck, but you are, in that social norm.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else outside of that social norm is not wrong.
Right.
So, back into the gay culture a little bit. Do you believe that the masculinity roles between tops and bottoms are changing?
Are changing? Barely. The bottoms are often viewed as, I think they still are viewed as the feminine role.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
It's the submissive role. While tops are the masculine role and, more assertive role. Like there's all these stereotypes put on each of them.
And again, I go back to what I was saying earlier. I think it comes down to the whole, like, why are we labeling that? Because, for example, I'm verse and I like to bottom, but I'm still a very masculine guy.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I bottom doesn't make me feminine.
I mean, some people don't even want to admit it because I've topped tops that were like, I don't bottom.
But
I mean, you're bottoming today.
You top and you're still feminine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could be feminine, but then there's also dom tops where they take
we're
control.
Specifically talking about you.
Don't talk about my sex life. Sometimes I want to be in control.
That
Jesus
doesn't make you masculine, though.
What do you mean? What do you mean? What are you talking about?
Just because you're on top doesn't make you masculine.
Just because you're giving the dick don't make you. Well, it does. I'm like, that's like what makes you a male right there. Like, here's a dick.
Right. I believe also that those out there that are gender non-conforming struggle with their masculinity to a point, more. And I think it's more based on self-esteem and experience higher levels of depression and anxiety.
In teens?
No, those that struggle with gender nonconformity.
Okay.
So I think that, you do see that higher level of stress and depression and anxiety in them because for them, that struggle between masculine and feminine.
Yeah, I can
higher.
Definitely see that.
So, and I think that all comes back to the social norm of what is masculine and what is feminine, and the fact that we're forced into these roles at birth and then expected to carry them out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the terrible part because at the end of the day, you're just going to be human. You're going to do...
Exactly.
Like, we're just labeling everything like, oh, this is masculine, this is feminine, this is... When it's
right.
like,
and
no.
it's like, so like, it's back what I was saying in the beginning, like, just because I go hunting and fishing and hiking and all that, like, doesn't mean that doesn't make me masculine. Just because I have a beard and I'm a bigger guy, that doesn't make me masculine.
I'd be like, he looks masculine. But go ahead.
Because like I said, I know people that are feminine.
Mm-hmm.
If you looked at them, they look feminine. They are bottoms. And, even they do the cooking, they do the cleaning, but yet they also go out and go hunting and fishing and hiking and do all these other things.
Okay.
And so to say, oh, you're feminine, and then you have these other things that make you masculine, it's like, I think we need to get rid of the labels. We're people.
Oh, absolutely. And it's ironic, especially in the gay community, that we use so many labels.
I agree with that.
The irony is like,
just because, again, I'll go back to saying, like, just because I'm a top doesn't mean I'm masculine. Just because I'm a bottom doesn't mean I'm feminine.
Exactly.
Sexual positions aside does not make whether I'm masculine or feminine.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
Anything you want to add?
Yeah.
No, I mean, I would agree with those statements. The only thing that I can think of, when you guys are talking about most of the gay community, and I think about my my friend that I have and her and her wife, and when you guys are talking about this, and I think between the two, and although it's been a few years, when I look at pictures of them and, just by look, I can't tell which one would fill that role.
And so that's true. And there are a lot of couples out there and stuff like that you can't,
right.
But.
Yeah. So what made them different? What made them break that?
I think it's just the fact that they've adopted, like, we are equal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In the relationship, And that's what I'm saying is I think we need to embrace that more.
Yeah.
Even outside of a relationship role, we need to embrace that on the single life as well, is because just because of what I do doesn't make me masculine or feminine.
Yeah.
And so, like I said earlier, just because you bottom doesn't mean that you're a queen.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that we actually like in modern day society, because now that we're talking about it and really rolling with it, I'm thinking like it's such a weird concept defining actions and things like that as masculine and feminine nowadays.
Right.
Like being in the kitchen, that does like a guy cooking in the kitchen shouldn't be feminine.
Exactly.
Why is that feminine? It makes no sense.
You know, just like a woman out on the grill.
Mm-hmm.
It's a woman like she's on the grill.
Exactly. You know. So, you know, I don't know why it just gets me as well as much as it does. But I cannot stand it when somebody's like, "Oh, I'm masculine. Oh, I'm straight acting." Everybody's fucking straight acting.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. That just gives me the vibe that you're just living up to a stereotype at that point if you want to identify.
Well, yeah,
as
and
straight.
and like I said earlier, I think it's just them trying to not look different, you know.
Yeah.
And even I'll take it even one step further and say that it's some of them haven't even come to terms yet with the fact that they are gay.
And that was the first thing I thought of as soon as you said straight acting. That's what,
You know,
being on the outside of that realm, someone said, I look at a profile picture you happen to be looking at and it says straight acting. One of the first thing I'm going to think of is, well, they could probably pass as my boyfriend. But why would I need that? That doesn't make sense in your
Right.
community.
Yeah.
exactly.
So-
You know, if you're on, say, Grindr or
Yeah.
these other apps and you've got straight acting, it doesn't make sense to me.
No.
You're on a gay app.
Yeah, people try to avoid flamboyant guys as well.
And again,
That's a problem.
and that's what I was saying earlier, that, you know, a lot of the femme guys are less desirable when they get to that flamboyant stage. Like, people tend to look right past them,
Yeah.
and it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
So, while we're on the topic in the gay world, have you heard of the term code switching?
Code switching.
Right.
Ooh, this is fancy. I don't know what it means.
So I guess I've never heard of it. Actually, somebody brought it up to me. But it's when you tend to masculine yourself up for some things and then queen yourself out for others. So you're basically going back and forth between the both. So that way you're appeasing the people you're around.
That to me sounds like when you're with one particular friend and your mannerisms and conversation change, and then when you're with another friend, you act differently, kind of deal. Like
Sort of, yeah. I mean, but now you're just taking it out of that perspective of just hanging with your friends to like being with, you know, in relationships and stuff like that.
So would you need two?
To what?
What are they called code switchers?
No.
In order for that, so you're saying that, let's just say one dominant of the couple is masculine, but then you had
No, this is a single person. So like, if, for example, if I'm, you know, if this person over here likes femme, well, now I'm more femme. If this guy over here likes more masculine, now I'm more masculine. I change myself
they're matching
to match whatever is wanted.
oh,
I was thinking it as like they go to a football game and now they're masculine, but then they go to like a drag show and they become super feminine.
Well, I mean, to an extent, yeah, because they're
But that's matching the energy of the room at that point.
I hate to break your bubble, but that might be a new word for you guys, but that happens a whole lot in the heterosexual community.
really.
Oh, yes. Women will do that all the time based off of the partner that they think that they need.
And essentially, that's what it is.
Yep.
Is they're changing themselves based off of what they think that they
Person
need from
needs.
that partner.
Ooh, I don't like that.
I don't either.
Yeah.
You know, because then at that point, you're not being true to yourself.
Yeah, you're kind of losing yourself.
You'll find that a lot when you have a friend that just starts dating this guy and all of a sudden their appearance
Yeah, their
starts
qualities,
to change.
yeah.
You'll find that with friends too. Girlfriends will do that. And it's almost like a hive society too. They will start to change to look like the most dominant female in that group because they believe they have the most ability to land their partner or
Right.
land the next partner.
Yeah.
And it's the same concept.
Wow.
Mind blown.
Yeah, it was.
Are you a code switcher?
A code switcher. Like I could see myself like if I'm with a bunch of dudes, we're dudes. Like
Mhm.
we're doing like I'm just having
Yeah,
a
but
good time.
you're not changing that because you want to be with one of them.
But I've been with those are with the straight guys, but with the gay friends, I'm more like, like yes,
Mhm.
like
Well, I think
like
you're
just
still talking about like changing yourself to the environment that you're in. We're talking about like changing yourself for the relationship.
the relationship. No, that is a definite no.
Because like
Because
I used to have a friend that literally every guy he dated, he changed his persona for that person. And this guy is your typical white, masculine, from the country, does fishing, the whole 9 yards guy. And 1 minute with this guy, he's this masculine guy. And the next minute, he's with this guy and he's that nurturing, prim and proper. And then he'll go to the third guy and now he's a queen.
Mm.
really,
Yeah. And
Oh.
so that's code switching.
I could not do that. I can understand where like, you get in a relationship and you learn little things here and there about the other person and things are going to meld together. That's
Of 100%.
unavoidable in relationships.
You're going to work things
Yeah.
out and qualities are going to come out and stuff like that.
But my whole wardrobe is not going to change drastically or like my personality is not going to switch either.
I watched this guy go from being single and being himself, wearing jeans, Carhartt jackets,
Yeah,
cowboy
just him on
boots,
neutral.
and fishing to dating a guy wearing khakis, a button up, dress shoes, and a vest every time you saw him.
That gives me desperate vibes.
And it's not because he was adjusting things, and the relationships were melding together. It was like he was completely eradicating his old self
To
for
be
this
the
person.
ideal man that this guy,
Right.
what he thinks he wants is what
Exactly.
he's trying to build. He's trying to create himself into the person that he thinks he needs. This
Exactly.
person needs.
And completely losing who he is.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
I don't agree with it. I never agreed with it. I supported him in everything he did, but I don't agree with it.
I think though, if you're looking for a long lasting relationship, you have to present yourself as you are because you can do that act, but
Right.
once you guys move in together and things like that, things start to come out. You can't keep that up. You'll revert. I'm just like,
You have to be raw and uncut, right?
oh yeah.
Oh, I did that.
So,
Look at him, clever.
clever. Do you guys have any closing remarks about roles and relationships? Anything you want to say?
Well, be yourself, man. There's no need for like you to identify yourself as masculine or feminine. You're going to do both. Everyone does it. So, and especially with that, the whole like trying to be this ideal person for another person, trying to like guess, no, just present yourself as you are. And those are the relationships that I think are worth it when that person can accept you for who you are.
Right. And I mean, for me, I believe that like that strict binary between masculinity and femininity
Oh, I was ready to catch you. I was like,
is
oh.
blurring on both sides, both in the hetero and the homosexual world. And I think that more and more younger generations are tending to experiment, and that spectrum is starting to gray as well, especially when it comes to gender nonconformity. And so I think that honestly, I think with having the gender nonconformity movement that you're seeing going on right now, it's actually pushing that blur between the masculine and feminine worlds much greater.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mine is just, don't be if you're into the traditional, be into the traditional, but don't be afraid to challenge yourself and see if you have the ability to accept a different type of role. You only further yourself as a person, knowing that, hey, you know what? I was able to fix that sink on my own. And you know what? It felt pretty damn good.
Right.
And I might never want to do that again, but it's done. And I can say I did it once. And you know, I grow.
Love it.
Right. You know, and I go back to saying, like, we go back and say, like, if you are into those relationships where the masculine and feminine roles are defined, like, that's fine. If that's what you want, that's fine.
Yeah.
But just don't feel like you're stuck in that role.
Yeah.
Like, just because that was the social norm doesn't mean that has to be your social norm.
Right.
So
It's a fluid environment.
exactly.
I like fluids.
I know you do. We heard. So, with that wraps up this episode of Raw and Uncut, my fellow deviants. If you want to know more about our show or reach out to the host, head on over to the show notes. We've got our website and our Facebook page attached there. Be sure to follow us and share us on your favorite platforms. Tell your friends about us. If you want to reach out to us, send us a message. We'll get back to you. Send us an email. We check those on the daily. But before we go, there's nothing wrong with being attracted to masculine guys or feminine guys. But don't cock block yourself by shutting yourself off to other possibilities. And as always, choose your safe word wisely.